Hello, Valley students. Dr. Mike here, and we are continuing this week our lectures on change management. And this week, or this lecture, we would like to talk about managing change, which is and the bulk of what we're wanting to talk about during the days of this week are the people involved in that and the management of resources. If you remember from last time, this diagram is showing us that the model that we're hoping to use for the course for these 3 weeks. And of course, this week we are in diagnosing chapters 5 and 6, and you're annotating those. And I know that you're looking forward to seeing some significant learning and information there that I think will prove to be a help to you. So as we talk about managing change, I'd like you to just kind of think about this chart. You may have seen this before, and ask the question, how does a change agent, that's you, if you're working in a factory, if you're working in a business, sometimes you even do this on a personal level, but very different maybe than what you might think it is. How do you go about changing a culture? The place you work has a culture about it, a factory, a store, a business. They have a certain way of doing things and of managing the things that they do. And so actually there are 4 very simple steps to change management: plan, do, act, and study. So those are things that are vitally important to affecting change with the least disruption in the process, but also getting the most results from it. So I'd like for us to, in our time today, to look at 8 simple steps on the way to managing change. And these are vitally important to us. First of all, you need to identify what needs improvement. If you do not know what you're aiming at, the old saying is you'll hit it every time. So you need to identify the focus. You maybe want to improve a process, or maybe you want to improve a product, or maybe you want to improve an outcome. All those things are important, but you can't do everything at one time. So usually there is a process to managing this kind of thing. Beyond that, you also need to identify the resources. It takes resources in people and money and a lot of other things to make a change worthwhile. And then you need to identify the individuals that are going to be a part of that change. People within the organization that need to become stakeholders, and that's a very important word that we're going to hear again and again. But stakeholders are anyone or any group of people who have the ability to buy into an organization. They have a part to play in that organization, whether they be supervisors or the owners of the company or the employees or the managers. All of those are stakeholders in the process of managing change. Knowing what to improve is a key step in the process. And so I cannot stress that enough. You need to know what you want to improve. The second step is to present a solid business case to all the stakeholders. Now, as we have said, stakeholders come from all different levels of an organization. They might be upper management. They might be investors. They might be champions of the process somewhere, are those responsible for arriving at a new normal. Because in process of change, there will be a new normal. Things that go along day to day now, there'll be a different set of requirements for that, and that is of vital importance. Thirdly, we're talking about a plan for change. If you do not have a plan your work your plan. That's the important thing about this. This plan is a roadmap that provides the beginning. You need to know where you are. If you're going to get somewhere else, you start with where you are. And it is vitally important that you understand that. What route's going to be taken? What are we going to change? Which direction are we going? What are the major parts involved in the change? Who are the stakeholders? All of these things. And then, of course, you need to know the destination. If you watch the news, you realize there are a lot of companies today that are struggling because they did not engage in change behavior. Sears and Roebuck is one of those. A very old company, started in the late 1800s, was a huge mover and shaker In the dry goods business for years and years, there was a time you could even buy a house from Sears. They would send it by train and send people to put the house together. They did not manage change very well through the years, and so today they're in bankruptcy and probably in closing. There are a number of businesses this year that are teetering on the brink of bankruptcy and clothing themselves. But this is a multi-step process of change. If you want to stay in business, you have to be open to change, be open to doing things differently, if you want to stay around for a very long time, because that is the nature of the world that we live in today. You need clear steps, you need measurable targets, you need incentives, you need measurements, and you need renewed targets. So basically, when someone says, well, we're going to go through this process, you know that it's going to be an upheaval, you know that it's going to be a change, it's going to be different, and you either embrace the change and hang on, or you will probably be looking for another job. So those are vitally important to you. Then number 4, we want to provide resources and use data for evaluation. Numbers and computers have really made the idea of change management viable. Resource allocation and funding are vital. Where's the money going to come from for change? It's always going to take money, always going to probably be expensive, but you have to weigh the outcome against potential outcome. If you don't change, you could stand to lose the entire market of your business. There are tools to be considered. One of the major ones is re-education. Most places today are constantly training their people to be the very best. They're investing in you. When you go to a training session or you go to a school, they are making an investment in you because you are going to become the agent of change in this new business. Retraining people. If you're going to revamp a line, say in an automobile factory, you've got to train people on new processes and get them up to speed. That takes money. It takes a loss sometimes in production, a lot of other things. Rethinking priorities and practices. The priorities and practices of the 1960s and the 1970s do not work in 2019. One of the reasons that companies are lagging behind is because they have never updated their priorities and the practices. I noticed last week that Amazon, which has opened these kiosk stores around the country, we have one up in Denver, they're closing all of them down. Did not work. And so they are going back to the drawing board with that and going a different direction. You must have that kind of change. Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the country, and they're always embracing these changes. You're going to need a lot of patience, and you have to avoid the shortcuts, because you cannot take shortcuts and do a great job with managing change. The other, number 6, is vitally important. It is communication. I wish I had 30 minutes to talk to you about the importance of communication, not only in an environment of your work area, but your own personal communication. You don't even think about the things that happen when someone tries to get in contact with you. Your phone doesn't work, your email is full, you haven't dealt with that. Might be an employer who is looking to hire you. They may not call back again. The same thing's true in the business world. Communication is key. It's the golden thread that runs through the entire practice of change management, identifying, planning, onboarding, executing a good plan is dependent on good communications. Now listen to me carefully. You may find yourself working on such a group or a committee as this, bringing about change management. You cannot afford to keep secrets. You cannot afford to play politics. You cannot afford to try to save your own skin, basically. Communication is absolutely vital in 2019, not only in the workplace, but in every other aspect of our lives, because we have great tools, and if we resist change, then we're not going to do well. Some people won't use cell phones. Some people don't want to use computers. Some people do not want to use emails. Those are the tools of the trade for the day that we live in. Okay, then consider monitor and manage resistance, dependencies, and budget risk. Think about those for a moment. Resistance is a very normal part of change management, but it can threaten the success of a project. You go into your factory or your store, you say to your employees, we're going to change some things to make ourselves more efficient, and the person or two people that work for you resist that change. They think they are protecting their jobs. They think that they're ensuring that they have a job for the future. That is not how it works. The reality is that technology will pass you by and leave you sitting on a street corner. You can see that already today. You can't even find a place hardly anymore that even takes paper applications. If you don't know how to put an application on a computer, then you're the worse for wear. You're not going to find a job. You can't even get a job at Walmart now without the ability to operate and use a computer. How to manage resistance is a key part of the success. You as a change manager have to instill in your employees the fact that you are not trying to get rid of them, that change is not what that's about. It's about you've got to be lean and mean if you're going to survive in this world of business that we live in today. And then number 7 is celebrate success. Now this is one thing, I mentioned that to a friend today. I don't think we celebrate our successes enough. As much as change is difficult and even painful, it is an ongoing process. It is not going to be a one-time event and not happen again. And this should be woven throughout all the steps to identify and remove roadblocks. That's part of our job, is to remove resistance. But we also need to celebrate success. And as much as change is difficult, even painful, it will continue to be a process. Review, revise, and continually improve what you're doing. This process is only as good as the commitment to measurement and analysis, and numbers are the means by which we tell if we have succeeded or not. So look at this chart in closing and realize, first of all, we start with a request for change. There has to be something done to make a difference. Then we do an impact analysis. How is this going to impact our company, our product, our employees? We either approve it or deny it, which moves us forward. We implement the change, and then we review and report back on the successes. So hopefully in some days in the future, as you continue your career, you'll be in a position, maybe on a committee, maybe on a group, on a team, that's going to bring about change in a work environment. And so you need to know these things and realize what's going on when you are asked or tasked with the job of bringing about change and help in the work world that you live in. While we would like for everything to continue on as it is and never change, that is just not the world we live in today. You're going to have probably 3 careers in your life. No matter what you go to school for, no matter what you plan for, you need to be planning for the next career. And being cognizant about these kind of things in change management will certainly make you a better employee and more important and vital to your employer. Thank you.